has dogmas and it fucking revolves around contextualizing things that you don't understand or comprehend in the world. But stop. Oh, you're stun locking me again. I'm so fucking frustrated with like these Sam Harris style attacks. Okay? I'm not even a fucking religious person, but like you're being ridiculous. If you're being ridiculous and overlooking a materialist analysis as to why violence occurs. Getting stun locked by Reddit atheists. Christian simp confirmed. I think it's so fucking silly to just be like, religion is the primary reason why the Holocaust happened. Like, it's just wrong. Okay, let's keep going. No more stun lock.
But then humans started burning fossil fuels around here. Today, global temperatures have risen about 1 degree Celsius since pre-industrial times. This is what that looks like so far. Storms have gotten more intense. Wildfires are more common.
That was Jeff. I swear to God, that was Jeff, dude.
And ancient glaciers are melting faster and faster. And that's just 1 degree of warming. Without global action, the world is on track to warm at least 3 degrees Celsius by 2100. This would be catastrophic. That's why most scientists agree that we need to limit global warming to this range, between 1.5 and 2 degrees Celsius. Carbon dioxide, which is emitted when we burn fossil fuels, accounts for most of the world's greenhouse gas emissions. It's the main culprit behind climate change.
His name is Hasan.
And to limit global warming to the degree that scientists are calling for, we have to stop releasing it. We have to decarbonize. The US doesn't currently emit the most carbon dioxide of any country, but as one of the oldest industrial powers, it's emitted more carbon dioxide in total than any other country or region. So America has a big role to play in decarbonizing. But how is the US supposed to do that? And is it actually possible?
If you want to get halfway there by 2030, you have to start now. Now, going fast. There is literally zero more time to waste.
Dave writes about energy and climate for Vox, and he says the 2020 US election comes with fairly clear stakes.
If Trump is reelected, that's it. Like, there's no chance for 1.5. And probably all chances for 2 degrees are gone.
The United States will withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord.
Open up the coal mines.
New offshore oil and gas leasing program.
I have a serious question. Like, on the coal front, and even when it comes to like regulating fracking front, of course, Obama is better than Donald Trump. But like, when did America become energy independent? Like, do people just forget that Barack Obama was president for the past 8 years and greatly accelerated fracking in this country? And openly talked about it too? Like, there are compilations of Obama saying nearly identical things to Donald Trump. So, like, if your argument is, like, save the country by voting for Joe Biden, it's always weird to me. Like, is Joe Biden going to be better? Is Joe Biden going to be better than Donald Trump on climate change? Certainly. Yeah, of course. That goes without saying. Because Donald Trump is literally way beyond the bare minimum. But he's going to be better because he's going to do the bare minimum. And that's always so weird. Like, it's always so weird to me. I don't get it. I mean, look, the North Dakota Access Pipeline was violently squashed under the Obama administration. He finally conceded and said, all right, we'll halt it for now.
A couple of months ago,
and then, of course, Trump immediately restarted it when he became president.
It has actually made my life better and has
what you say in an equivalence for most of the world? What?
Sparked my love for eating.
This is a deranged pervert.
Pogo 3 months.
It just
Billy
sucks.
Arjan.
It sucks so bad.
And nearly everyone's energy bill is lower because of it.
Because we know that natural gas is part of the future of this country.
Remember, Joe Biden was vice president during this administration.
The natural gas boom has led to cleaner power and greater energy independence.
You can have your cake and eat it too. I think it's a false choice to say either you develop natural gas and oil in the United States with hydraulic fracking, horizontal drilling, and live with the environmental consequences, or you stop it because of the environmental consequences. You can develop an environmentally safe way.
It not only...
What are you trying to prove? What I'm trying to prove is pretty simple. I don't believe that we are going to be able to hold Joe Biden accountable. That's what I'm trying to prove. While Joe Biden is still better than Donald Trump, marginally, but still better than Donald Trump, and his promises are bold, I guess.
To transfer money from Bezos directly
Even
to
his
Hasan
promises
Piker,
are
you were
not
part on his
enough
birthday.
to change our outcome. Okay? But not only that, but we have to fucking keep him accountable. Okay? So simply voting for one candidate over the other is not enough. It's just not good enough. And we didn't fucking hold Obama accountable, and he was charismatic. And this is what we did.
It can provide safe, cheap power, but it can also help reduce our carbon emissions.
Fracking has been an important tool in the toolbox for oil and gas for over 50 years. And some of the new techniques that are being used actually reduce the amount of footprint on the surface acreage in order to address and recover oil and gas from a much larger area. So this is an important tool.
I love this music.
A great place to start is with natural gas. Some of you may not have been following this, but because of new technologies, because we can now access natural gas that we couldn't access before in an economic way, we've got a supply of natural gas under our feet that can last.
I don't know where the fuck you found this, Paul. You sicko. I love this. I love this fucking pro oil and gas industry video compilation of Obama.
America, nearly 100 years. Nearly 100 years.
In no case have we made a definitive determination that the fracking process has caused chemicals to enter groundwater.
My point of view.
Hello? Hello? Former US EPA administrator saying fracking, we have no definitive determination that fracking disrupts the natural water supply. Hello?
Fracking process has caused chemicals to enter groundwater.
Just remember that, okay? I need you to remember that. Just put it in your fucking head.
Point of view, based on my own study of hydraulic fracking, is that it can be done safely and has been done safely in hundreds of thousands of times.
The experts believe it could support more than 600,000 jobs by the end of the decade. We, it turns out, are the Saudi Arabia of natural gas. We've got a lot of it. We've got a lot of it.
Is that I think the issues in terms of the environmental footprint of hydraulic fracturing production are manageable.
I am not aware of any proven case where the fracking process itself has affected water.
We've got to take advantage of this incredible...
By the way, that's why one of the fuckers who was running for president literally drank fracking cum on camera, okay? One of the people that the Democratic Party put forward literally drank fracking cum, okay? On camera. In a congressional hearing. Like,
natural resource. And think about what could happen if we do. Think about an America where more cars and trucks are running on domestic natural gas than on foreign oil.
Team gets so pissed when you ghost him on Twitter. It's awesome. It's great.
President Trump doesn't have a climate policy.
All government environmental protection organizations are propaganda machines, not just the EPA in the United States. 100%. 1,000%. The EPA was already a fucking hollowed out shell that Donald Trump literally just made a pro fucking up the environment. Like,
And his re-election will most likely continue policies designed to boost the fossil fuel industry. They'd increase carbon emissions instead of decreasing them, and the effects would be felt globally.
You just can't have the world's second biggest economy opting out, moving the opposite direction, and expect the world to get there.
The other major candidate in the election does have a plan to address climate change, and this part in particular is ambitious.
By 2050, the United States will be 100%.
This is why I say that, like, these are most likely promises that are not going to be followed. So I'm not even doing this to, like, I'm not even doing this to fucking spare you the heartache when they don't happen. I'm telling you this now because the work literally begins. The organizing efforts begin the first day of the Biden presidency if Biden ends up fucking winning, if the liberals don't fuck this up, which they will. They most likely will. So I don't even believe them. So, but if in the off chance that he does end up fucking winning, yeah, I know Leafy got permabanned off Twitch.
Clean energy economy.
Biden has been...
I don't really care. Like, I'm gonna be honest.
Convinced and pushed to the point that he's got a great climate plan.
Oh, you're such a big...
What Biden's plan doesn't get into are the details on how exactly the US would actually do that. But there are people who have thought about what it might look like to decarbonize by 2050. And to understand that, it helps to get a picture of where America's energy comes from and where it goes.
Sorry, my son nearly stepped on a snake. Do you want to say hi?
This is Saul Griffith. He's a physicist and an engineer, but this is how Dave describes him.
Probably the person who knows more about energy as it's used in the United States than any other human being.
A few years ago, Saul decided to make a model of America's energy use. He ended up reading basically every available piece of data from
the Energy Information Administration, Department of Transportation, National Highway Transit Authority, the Census Bureau, Bureau of Labor Statistics, and NOAA. And so we pull all of those together to build a very comprehensive picture of the US energy economy.
That picture of the US energy economy, it looks like this.
If you're just looking at the whole thing at once, it just looks like a big pile of spaghetti. It's hard to make sense of, but it just traces energy, every unit of energy. How does it enter the economy? How is it used throughout the economy?
This kind of chart is called a Sankey diagram, and it's easier to understand in 3 sections. These columns here on the left are the sources of all the energy used in the US, like natural gas, coal, solar, wind, nuclear, and oil. This column in the middle is what those energy sources get converted.
What? Hey, Cruz said many liberal males never grow balls? What? What a fucking weirdo, dude. Ted Cruz is the last person who should be talking about masculinity, dude. I mean, you literally fucking licked the boots of a dude who said your wife was... What did he say about his wife? He's like, your wife is a harlot. Your dad fucking assassinated JFK and you're the Zodiac killer. And you turned around and you were like, ah, it's all good. I love this. I love being a high-T Texas male. Cuck kink shaming again. You can't kink shame cucks. They literally get off on being shamed. It's the social stigma associated with being a cuckold that makes them horny. If anything, me kink shaming cucks literally makes it better for them. Shut the fuck up. You can definitively kink shame cucks. Learn to BDSM.
Did you see the police shooting in
Okay, maybe
Houston where
outside of
cops
like
shot
their
a man on his
expectations or
knees
boundaries or
21
something.
times?
If you come here, if you come here, this is a sometimes cucks will get kink shame zone. So get ready, get your dick hard. Get your little tiny fucking penis that no one needs to see, that you should be fucking trapping inside of one of those like penis things. Get that in here and get it ready, because we're gonna fucking shame the shit out of you, okay? Here you go. Chastity cage? Yeah, that's what it's called, right?
Into. So a lot solar, wind, nuclear, and oil. This column in the middle is what those energy sources get converted into. So a lot of it becomes electricity. Most oil becomes the fuel we use for transportation. And here you can see how much natural gas energy is being used to generate electricity versus being used directly to power things like cooking stoves. And over here on the right, this is where all the energy is used, broken down into incredible detail. Like how much energy is being used to light shopping malls in the US. Or how much energy is being used by vehicles driven for work.
So you start to get this incredibly detailed picture of all of the interconnections, which is really, really important when you do the next exercise. But what happens if we decarbonize?
Remember that carbon emissions come from the burning of fossil fuels, this stuff. And Saul says that means that to decarbonize, we just need to follow their path. The first place that leads you is here, with electricity and the energy we use to generate it, the majority of which in the US comes from two kinds of fossil fuel, natural gas and coal. If the US wants to decarbonize, it needs to stop getting electricity this way, and to replace it with other decarbonized energy sources. That means coal power plants, gone. Gas power plants, gone. All electricity would come from renewable sources: wind, solar, geothermal, hydroelectric and biomass, or nuclear energy. Decarbonizing the way we get electricity would be a huge investment. But it would also only eliminate 20% of emissions. And that's because electricity and energy are not exactly the same thing.
That doesn't solve the vehicle's emissions. It doesn't solve your heating emissions from using natural gas or fuel oil in your basement.
All these other parts of the economy draw their energy directly from fossil fuels. Like transportation, we use oil for fuel. And commercial and residential buildings, where we use gas and oil for heat. But Saul says there's a kind of elegant solution to this. You decarbonize these sectors by switching their energy source from here to here. Make all of it electric. Because we already have almost all the technology we need to do it.
Heat pumps, batteries, electric vehicles, wind turbines, nuclear power plants, is we know that can work. We know we can do electric cars. We know we can do electric heat for nearly everything.
It's all, in the end, just about machines, right? We got a bunch of machines that use fossil fuel energy. We need to replace them with machines that use...
I just don't know. Nuke boys are going to get mad, especially Mr. Marcellus, but like, I'm an old head, and I'm fearful of nuclear energy.
Use clean electricity. And so it really just comes down to a matter of industrial capacity. How fast can...
It's always like the people from Destiny's community that are like the biggest nuke boys too. Like the ones who watch both me and Pepe Le D are the... You're such a boomer. Still have Chernobyl PTSD. Yeah, there's like no way to get rid of the fucking waste too. Like, it's just, come on.
Can you build machines?
There are some things we'd have a harder time decarbonizing. Air travel will rely on...
Dude, you can't say nuclear energy causes less deaths per capita than coal energy. That's insane. That's like, unironically, the assault rifles, like assault weapons kill less people than handguns argument.
Man, Hasan.
Happy 9/11, Hasan.
Like, what the fuck? It is. Why are you question marking me? I'm right. It's not as widespread as the fucking coal.
Oh, you're such a big man, Hasan.
Did he say per capita? No, he didn't say per capita. Oh, he did? Did I read? I don't know. Okay, I need to eat. I guess 9/11 is synonymous with bad takes. But both kill not in the same capacity continuously. I thought he just said, I know majority of power in France is nuclear. I thought he said nukes kill less than coal. One person died from Fukushima. Yeah, dude, it's actually pretty great. No radiation poisoning at all whatsoever. Would investing subsidizing it would give more innovation to the field, hopefully, though? I've heard of waste from chemical plants. We have to bury it in the ground, safe containment, so it cannot be get rid of. Okay, that's bad too, though. Posadis, STEM Lord here. Both nuclear energy and preemptive nuclear strikes are good.
On fossil fuels until alternative technologies get better. And things like steel and concrete are really hard to manufacture without fossil fuels. But if we decarbonized as much as possible with the technology that we have now, it would end most of the US's carbon emissions. This chart shows the country's carbon emissions broken down by economic sector. If electricity, residential, commercial, and transportation were mostly decarbonized, you'd have solved a lot of the problem. All of this would be a huge undertaking. And it needs to happen fast.
I am a Luddite when it comes to nukes. I
Saul's
admit it.
research modeled different.
I literally openly admit that I'm a Luddite when it comes to nukes. I'm a boomer and I'm fearful of nukes, and I think I'm right for being afraid of nukes and nuclear power. Yeah. I think the nuclear waste is something that we're going to have a much more significant issue with in the long term. I get the argument that nuclear power is a good transitional energy resource.
This is a deranged
because it's cleaner than coal.
Yes, I did a thing.
For sure in the short term. But even then, isn't the argument that it takes like 20 fucking years to build a nuclear facility? Like a nuclear power plant that's capable of powering like it would take years and years for us to even build a nuclear power plant in the United States, for example. Thorium. They make small ones in China.
His name is Hasan.
They're making small ones in China. Chile. China. That is why it will never get funded. Also, you say you're afraid of the waste, but we can contain the waste and control the poisons. As for fossil fuels, this shit is airborne and actively poisoning the atmosphere.
This is a deranged...
I'm a big...
Have you seen the huge reactor they are building in France?
I mean, does anybody really think we should be relying on nuclear energy in the long term? Yes, there's nuke boys in here. There's Posadis in here. The actual volume of waste is very small. You can literally store 100% of America's nuclear waste in a single small warehouse, make it in a dry place away from groundwater in a well-maintained building. Nevada is perfect, but no politician wants their state to be a nuclear waste repository, so no one ever votes for it. Guys, we've done this. This is literally, I mean, you are sending me videos that I've watched on the stream before. I've watched the facility, the underground facility that is supposed to have that it's supposed to host nuclear waste forever. The many different ways that they've tried to figure out like a universal symbol for how dangerous that is to make sure that like civilizations don't touch it or come near it. We've looked at like that fucking massive facility as well and how they would hide nuclear waste. Nuclear waste is unharmful? Okay, dude. Why don't you go fucking eat a bar of nuclear waste then? What is this shit? Death rates from energy production per terawatt hours? So because nuclear nuclear energy is more productive, doesn't that game the system a little bit? Wouldn't that fuck up the numbers here? Like, no? Why are you guys saying no? So because nuclear energy is safer, somehow that means it's safer? No, it just means it's infinite. Isn't it significantly more productive than brown coal? So like if it was 700, if it was like 700,000 times more productive than fucking coal, but then more people died, wouldn't that third and fourth points? Coal. Also, you're talking to someone who's like literally trying to avoid coal production and oil production. So I don't know why you like use nukes as a counter when I think what we should be focusing on is the energy efficiency of wind and solar. You're literally just trying to rely on a handful of nuclear accidents? Yeah, because those nuclear accidents are pretty fucking big, dude. And they just like, it's done. You know, you can't use Chernobyl anymore. That's the entire area that's just gone. When a fucking oopsie happens due to human error or natural disasters, that area is done. Regardless of fear, nuclear energy isn't a solution for climate change. Wind and solar are more economically viable for the 50 to 100-year mark. This is why China has halted investment in nuclear, completely only allowing already current projects to be completed. Neolib nuke cucks don't even understand their own economics. But wind and solar are not reliable and never will be. Who's the Luddite now, bitch? What the fuck is that take? Claiming that wind and solar are never going to be reliable is an insane take if you ask me. I'm sorry. I understand wanting to solve this problem, but like, when's the last time you heard of a nuclear meltdown? Not a meltdown, but the Japanese plant. That's a pretty recent one. Nuclear energy would be awesome as a replacement, but you clearly can't trust the whole world to do it right, especially when its ceiling is bad, it's full of awful shit.
Whores in this house. There's some whores in this house.
Wind and solar would never work.
For this shit, you dumb himbo. Here's a duditine uranium pepala.
Nuclear fusion can't melt down and produce significantly less waste. It's extremely difficult to obtain, though. Europe is starting ITER. Wind and solar don't produce enough energy regularly. Dude, that's literally... I know that. I understand that. I get that. I'm saying increasing the productivity of renewable energy is, I think, the number one thing that we should be focusing on right now. Imagine if Trump was in charge of nuclear waste. Like, that's the other thing. I mean, these motherfuckers are terrible.
I'm sorry. I'm out of control.
I feel like when you have a resource that's even,
what if the wind stops?
When you have waste that's even worse than like waste produced by other forms, even though they are fucking horrible and destroying the planet too.
This is a deranged.
Like when you're leaving that in the hands of, in all honesty, I do believe wind, solar will carry the weight of our energy production. I just firmly believe we can't throw out nuclear energy altogether. The renewed tech can still be very beneficial.
This is a deranged pervert.
All these chatters are Piker arguments.
Our issues with storing the energy, wind and solar are only good if we have a way of storing the energy in batteries. This is the argument for nuclear. It is more reliable and can be turned on quickly and can be used at any time of the day.
Not
Sure.
knowing how the sector works. Happy 3 months.
Wind and solar will never produce enough energy. They can't ramp up and down energy production like nuclear. Have you ever reacted to Gavin McInnes? Dude, fucking Gavin McInnes is a psychopath, dude. Why the fuck would I react to him?
Different scenarios for the transition from fossil fuel-based machines to electric ones. From a market-driven transition to carbon taxes to a much more direct and heavy-handed approach that would replace our machines with their electric counterparts very quickly. And he found that because we've delayed action for so long, none of these slower approaches will be enough.
If you went back to 2000 and started then, you could just put like a modest carbon tax in place and it would have just eased us down over the course of 30 years or whatever. But emissions kept rising and rising and rising. So now to get where we need to go, they got to fall off a cliff. And that means zero delay. We're just talking about a level of industrial mobilization that none of us...
This dude literally looks like a hot Peter coffin. I can't not see it anymore.
Alive. Have seen, it would look like what FDR did to prepare the U.S. for war. Literally every single solitary fossil fuel machine that goes out of service is replaced by a clean energy alternative. Every furnace, car, factory, name it.
Nearly everyone is buying an electric vehicle. Nearly everyone is buying rooftop solar. Nearly every new power plant that comes online is industrial scale solar or industrial wind. We need that level of effort to do a lot better than 2 degrees.
All of recorded human history has happened within an era of relative climate stability. An era that's about to end. But we still have control over what comes next. And the global effort that'll require hinges in part on what the US decides to do. America can decarbonize. We have the technology to do it. We have the resources. The only question is whether we want to do it.
I have a 6-year-old and 11-year-old, and I have to believe that's going to happen. Otherwise, I have to try to make that happen as long as possible, because it's their future we're stealing by not doing it.
Thanks for watching this episode of our 2020 election series. We're focusing on the issues that matter most to you, and we got this topic requested by a lot of people. Zach said the candidates should be talking about the steps we need to take to drastically reduce our carbon footprint and our impact on the environment. Jade asked what policies will be implemented during their terms to stop America from being the second largest carbon producer. And Oliver asked how do they plan to reduce carbon emissions to zero and on what timeline? We want to know what you think the candidates should be talking about. Tell us at vox.com/election videos.